What's up, beautiful people? This is Khurram from iGetsWell and hope you're having an amazing day. In today's video, I'm going to be answering the most asked question on my videos that I've been making for the Apple TV 4K, that how you can get the HDR10 Plus, which is the brand new feature on the Apple TV 4K Generation 3. So the Generation 3 will look like this, a slimmer Apple TV 4K. And then you have the Apple TV 4K 2021. So in order to get the HDR10 Plus, you have to get this brand new Apple TV 4K, which is the Gen 3. And the way you can tell the difference, one has the TV written on it, the other one has just the Apple logo. And with the updated remote control with the USB Type-C charging. So this is right here. I have all the generations, 2017, 2021, and this is the 2022, and only this one can do the HDR10 Plus. So you have to have a display as well which supports the HDR10 Plus. So I have this right here, the Samsung QN90B 2022 model. And if we go in the settings for this TV and we go to the video and audio, you can see that we have the 4K SDR, but when we click on it, we have the 4K HDR10 Plus showing right here. You don't have to necessarily click on it because most of the content you're watching most of the time is in the SDR. So this is my preferred setting, that I keep it in the 4K SDR and the chroma subsampling of 444. The only thing you need to do is turn on the match dynamic range and the match frame rate. What this will do is that it will convert, or it will switch to the HDR picture mode whenever you throw a HDR signal to the TV. So let me see here. There are a couple of ways you can get the HDR10 Plus. So very first one that I'm going to talk about is the Apple TV itself. So we go to the Apple TV and there's Apple TV Plus. If you have that subscription, you go in there and there's a beautiful show called For All Mankind. So let's click on it, and you will be able to get the HDR10 Plus out of your TV. So what you do is, there's a button on the Samsung TVs. You can press this wheel button 1, 2, 3, and you're gonna have this menu popping up, and it's gonna say that you're playing the HDR10 Plus. That is the one of the ways you can get the HDR10 Plus content from the Apple TV Plus. So most of the shows over here, let me try Coda, and it's loading. So if I click on the same thing, as you can see, the Apple TV Plus will give you the HDR10 Plus, and you can see it right here, HDR10 Plus. So that's the very first application. Now let's just move to the other applications that we have. So I'm gonna go to the home page. And then I have purchased a lot of movies from Apple. So let me go in there. This is not the free, not like Apple TV Plus subscription. This one right here is my purchase movie. So I'm gonna go in the purchase section. And you can see I have several movies. So if I play the Godzilla vs. Kong, and it is Dolby Vision. If you have the LG OLED and other TVs on Samsung, it will play it in the HDR10 Plus. So I'm gonna resume playback and hit the same wheel button, and you can see that it is also playing in the HDR10 Plus. So what I've noticed, that there are so many movies that are in the Dolby Vision, and on the Apple TV 4K 3rd generation and the Samsung QN90B, the Samsung TV that I have, it supports the HDR10 Plus. Most of the TVs that will say the Dolby Vision, not most of the TVs, most of the content which will say Dolby Vision, it is playing it in the HDR10 Plus. But that's not true for all the content. So let's say if I go and play another movie that I have, Alita, the Battle Angel. My apologies for that. Okay. So you can see I have the Alita, the Battle Angel, and this movie, if you can see right here, is also in the Dolby Vision. But it's not that there's something broken that it's playing every movie that is in Dolby Vision in the HDR10 Plus. So that would be wrong, because this movie, if I play it, it's gonna just play it in the HDR. So let me show you that menu again by going resuming. All right, so it's playing and I'm gonna hit that info button on the Samsung TV and you can see that it is playing it in the HDR. It is not pushing the HDR plus signal. So there is nothing broken about the Apple TV 4K. They're updating their library, I believe. So there are movies that are capable and can do the HDR10 plus with the dynamic data that it has. It is actually playing it in the HDR10 plus. Let me try this Blade Runner that I tried earlier. So you can see that it's also in the Dolby Vision and I will be able to get the HDR10 plus out of it. So first I thought it is broken and it's just pushing everything that's in the Dolby Vision into the HDR10 plus. But that is actually not the case here. If you see this movie, I'm gonna hit the info button again. This one is playing in the HDR10 plus. So there are movies, they are updated in the library. They are using that dynamic metadata to push that HDR10 plus signal. And I tried another movie that I wanted to go and play, which is Jumanji, The Next Level. I believe I just skipped it. Okay, right here. The Jumanji Welcome to the Jungle. It's also in the Dolby Vision right here. And if I play this, let's see what do we get. So as this movie, you can see it's playing in the HDR. So it's not that every movie that you're gonna see in the Dolby Vision will be playing in HDR10 plus, but most of the content that I found on my purchased movies, they're being played in the HDR10 plus. Let me play the Mad Max Fury Road, which I love. If you love this movie, please hit the like on this video and subscribe to the channel. That is gonna help me a lot. So let's hit the play on the Mad Max Fury Road and let's see what signal do we get on the TV side. Okay, you can see that this one is playing in HDR10 plus. So there are a lot of movies. There's a huge library that is being updated and it's gonna take that advantage for the dynamic metadata and push the HDR10 plus signal. So there are a whole bunch of movies that I have. There are 59. I don't think so I'll go over each and every, but most of the movies were playing in the HDR10 plus. Now let's move on to the third and most important application where you can play the HDR10 plus, and that is the Amazon Prime Video. So there's a famous show called The Wheel of Time, and if you click on it, you just see there it says the HDR, but when you click play on this video, and you have to go on Samsung TV, it's a lot easier. You just press this little button right here and you get the menu screen and you can see that it is playing it in the HDR10 plus. So there are so many ways that you can now get the HDR10 plus. Before it was really limited. Also on the YouTube, now you can get the HDR10 plus. So if you go back and back and back, there's only one video that was playing the HDR10 plus. I don't exactly remember if it was here, but it was the HDR10 plus demo. So I'm gonna just type that in here, the HDR10 plus demo. Okay, let me use the Apple remote control. It's a lot easier when you're searching. Not this, go back. HD. As you can see, the keyboard is not that friendly when you're typing with the Apple TV interface for the YouTube. And there is not a lot of content available on the YouTube, but I have found one, this first one. This is the only legitimate video that I found and actually plays the HDR10 plus. And you can see that we have the HDR10 Plus. This is just the demo that was uploaded, and it is official video. And you can see that we have the HDR10 Plus. This is the only video on YouTube which actually does play in the HDR10 Plus. Otherwise, most of the content out there is just misleading. It doesn't even play in the HDR10 Plus. It's just the HDR10 and you get the HDR10 signal. But that's all I have from this video, guys. I hope you really like it. There are ways that you can play the HDR10 Plus content. So now go and give it a try. And let me know in the comment section what other movies you tried and you love in the HDR10 Plus. And I'll see you in another video. Until then, peace out.